Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
We are here with our reaction and review for Paradise Season 2, Episode 6. This episode, titled Jane, has been discussed for basically a year now. I remember back in the press for Season 1, Fogelman was saying, you know what, there's an episode coming about Jane. We're going to explain everything. You just have to wait, and we have waited.
Man, this was such a great episode. I really love learning about Jane. She's one of my favorite characters on the show. She is just such an enigma. I just didn't know how she got to this position, and now we know. And the storytelling, Dan, wonderful.
It's so interesting that after the first 3 episodes of this season, I had a lot of questions. I was kind of iffy on a couple of things, but this last, I don't know, couple of weeks, banger after banger. I think there's so much good stuff Paradise is doing right now. They even have me much more on board and also down some very serious rabbit holes when it comes to Alex, especially based on what we learned in this episode.
Yeah, there was a lot of feeling of being disjointed for the first few episodes because, we're here, and now we're here. And we've been away from the bunker for quite a few episodes now. It's like we've had one episode in the bunker and now we're back here getting a little more in the bunker. So it has felt a little bit all over the place. And I feel like this season could have done well by not being in the bunker much at all, or maybe kind of getting it that all of our characters get to the bunker and then we're all back in the bunker and all this stuff is happening. But this episode really made that whole disjointed flow a little bit better for me.
It was a lot more connected. It just helps so much more when you have every single storyline included in a single episode.
Crossing paths.
And also flashbacks that related to me very, very much. And I mean, Dan's really good at this, but the moment I saw that Circuit City logo, I gotta tell you guys, I used to love Circuit City. It was my spot more than Best Buy. I bought my Nintendo DS there. I mean, Nintendo was coming up again later in this video. Have no fear.
I mean, Jane really likes her video games.
She might like video games even more than I do, and that's like really saying something.
Yep.
But we are going to get into everything with Jane, the origin story, the connection to Alex, what we think Alex may actually mean at this point. Before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We will be here throughout all of Paradise, breaking everything down, sharing theories, having a great time with you guys in the comments. We love hearing what you have to say, your own speculations. We are also currently in the midst of covering the pit here at the channel as well.
Also, you already have Hulu, and coming up is the Testaments very, very soon. So we will be covering that here at the channel as well. And for those of you who have already joined our memberships, we are covering Monarch, Legacy of Monsters there right now. We have a link here. If you want to join our memberships, you can check out those videos as well. It's the only place you can get them, also on our Patreon. But it's a great way here to be able to help support Matt and I here at the channel to continue to bring you these videos. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. We very, very much appreciate that. Everyone, I hope you brought your tinfoil.
Tinfoil hat.
Yeah,
tinfoil hat. Let's go.
Okay, this is the first tinfoil. There's going to be more coming in a moment.
We be covered in tinfoil.
Yes, there are 2 very distinct theories I'm working with now with Alex.
All right.
Both of them are kind of sort of movie references, so work with me here.
All
All
right.
right. All right, here we go. Minority Report. So, okay, if you guys saw this movie, it was all about pre-crime, predicting what sort of stuff was
I really
happening.
like that movie.
That movie is great. It's probably the best thing Tom Cruise has done in a very long time.
Wow.
But I feel like there is a school of thought here that, all right, is this Alex or Alex Q some sort of predictor where it is looking either at something genetic? I don't know if it's, the stars are, spelling this out that Jane is going to turn out to be this really terrible person, but it seems to be potentially a technology that's able to harness something, allow our characters, including Sinatra now in the bunker, to be able to assume, something really, really bad is happening here. It's not necessarily time travel, but it's laying out the path for the future. So maybe if there's another crisis coming that would destroy the bunker, I can at least put a stop to that. I can find a way to preserve the future by knowing what's going to happen from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, when we saw Xavier, flying the plane, he was having these flashes of Link. It made me think that he was maybe having premonitions of what is coming up. That there's some sort of force in this world that is giving him these possible, we'll call them sort of dreams, where he's seeing a little bit into the future with the Link walking down the corridor and looking back at him, sort of thing. That maybe that's going to be at the end of the season where we see them all going into the bunker and we've got Link looking back. So that all tracks, that if Alex is some sort of machine that can look into the future and be like, that baby Jane, she gonna be a killer. I mean, we do have to have the conversation of, is the machine really going to be able to say that baby Jane is a killer? Or could it be that maybe she had some undiagnosed mental health issues? She did say she was hearing voices. Nobody got that checked out. Nobody seemed to believe her. Like, nothing was happening there to help her in any kind of way. Also, she didn't have the best upbringing. Her mother just clearly didn't want her and didn't want her around. That's not going to help. Is it machine or is it lack of nurture?
And that is a great discussion for the comments, but it's also, I don't believe that any machine's going to have 100% success rate with some of these predictions, because that all gets extrapolated into, all right, if this is some sort of prediction machine, where are you getting these from? Is it from some sort of genetic marker? Is it from some sort of internal database that has been run like a million different times? But then also beyond all that,
it's 1996, right? So I don't know.
We were all kind of sort of, I'm speaking we royal we here. I just remember my first experience with the internet was kind of sort of around this period. It might have been slightly before or slightly after. Like, my memory's not that, but we're just coming up with the internet, and you're leading me to believe that someone magically has come up with this sort of like prediction technology.
Okay, tinfoil hat.
All right.
The hospital and all these different places are feeding information to the people who are inputting it into the machine. It's coming together with some sort of algorithm to be like, oh, the future for Jane will be killer, because the nurses already know, the mother's screaming, get her out of here, is not taking care of this baby, the days after that she's still in the hospital. She clearly doesn't want to be a mom. She doesn't want to have Jane. That maybe the nursing staff or the doctors are sending this information in with everybody across the country. They're all just feeding it in the machine to be like, okay, this is the situation. Baby Jane has been born. This mother doesn't want her. It's a really aggravated situation. Beep, 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 beep. She's going to be a killer.
I think this is the more likely situation that's going on here, which is somebody's feeding all this information into Alex, which could be a database, an algorithm, all these other things. But we are going to get a little bit crazy here.
All right.
This is where the more tinfoil comes on.
More.
All right. Now we're getting into Back to the Future 2 here, where you've got Biff and the Sports Almanac going on here. I mean, number one, if you haven't seen that movie, how dare you? But also,
see it immediately, if not sooner.
It's so good. But one of the big plot lines of that is that, Biff is able to use the Sports Almanac, radically changes things. It does bring to mind, if there is time travel, which personally I do not want, you can make this argument that someone, whether it be an Alex, a tied to Alex, no matter what else it could be, was going to the future, able to sort of figure out, oh, this is something really, really bad, and able to kind of pinpoint very specific things that needed to be changed. I mean, even a time traveler, I'm going to presume that they still age. I don't want to go too complicated here. So presuming they can still age, they only have so much time to deal with all of this stuff. So they've come back into the past, inputted these specific things that need to be stopped or curtailed, and maybe Sinatra, whoever was originally doing this, not around anymore. Sinatra's trying to find a way in order to do this herself so that either she can have more things to try to prevent, or can she find a way to go back in time in order to stop this big situation with Paradise from happening in the first place?
Well, that's the thing, right? We're already covered in tinfoil.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. What is the motivation of Sinatra? Because they have been kind of like trickling out this possibility that this is about her lost child, that maybe her personally wants to be able to get this sort of time travel together to go back to be able to make it that her child doesn't end up gone and end up dead. So is it that? Is she trying to find a way to maybe either look into the future and be like, okay, this guy said this and this and this is going to happen. You'll have 30 years max at this bunker, and then this is going to happen. Most of it has come true. So maybe she's like, okay, is the rest of it going to come true? And if it is, what can I do to prevent it or slow down time here in paradise so that maybe 30 years can be stretched out into 60 years or 100 years or whatever?
I feel like, I mean, I don't know how many tinfoil hats we can put on a single video here, but
so many.
If I can just be Dr. Tarabi here for a moment, and I'm going to psychoanalyze Sinatra, I feel like she is very much an egomaniac. I think she thinks she's smarter and better than everybody else, but I also believe that she believes she is a hero, that I think she wants to do in her mind the right thing, and that may be making sure that her child makes it. That may be working in order to save the universe, but she has sort of created this lie to herself that no one else can do this job. Only I can do this job. Everybody else is just going to mess it up. So I am going to take this gigantic boulder of a burden, put it on my back, try to solve everything for myself so I can make sure this all goes swimmingly. And it's just a terrible idea because nobody's ever going to trust you if you do this.
Absolutely. And then now we've got Presley snooping around here and trying to get, Sinatra's kid involved in all this. That happened rather fast. You just had a couple of sentences from Presley and all of a sudden you don't trust your mom anymore. What is this relationship that you do not trust your mom because some kid at school said?
Well, this is as wonderful as these past couple of episodes have been, and I really think they're great. This is the inherent problem here, and this is why with every fabric of my being, I am praying to Dan Fogelman to not have this be time travel, because you were dealing with the 8-episode seasons. You've talked about season 3 probably being the final one. There's just not enough, ironically, time to deal with all of that. You don't have the time to build up this relationship between Sinatra's daughter and Presley, like, let alone I'm going to explain the rules of time travel, how it works, how Sinatra can use it. You're just going to end up confusing everybody.
This season is moving along so fast, and there are so many different stories going on that I really, truly wish that this season was at least just 10 episodes, 11 episodes, 12 episodes, just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to have a cast as big as this, then there needs to be time for other characters to breathe as well, like Presley, like Sinatra's daughter, like build that up to build that crack of trust outside of like one sentence. It's like, you better take a look at your mom. At that point, I'd be like, who are you talking about my mom? Your mom. How dare you?
Like, I think it's a good thing to always leave us wanting more. Like, a good example of this is Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We both love that.
Sir, do you mean Night of the Nine Kingdoms?
Listen, guy, I don't remember why. I Googled that, and that's what Google said back.
Funny.
It made me laugh so unbelievably hard. But I loved that show, but at the same time, while I wanted more, it was based on source material, and I feel like if they had given me more episodes, it would have just strung some things along. It wouldn't have actually changed the plot. Here, I feel like there's too much plot for how much story we have, and like, this did need to be 10 episodes. We did need to get further context on these relationships to see some of this build. Like, I like Presley. I think Presley is an interesting character. She's taking a lot after her parents, who are both clearly super driven and will be willing to do whatever they can. But we're just not seeing enough of her development so that when we see her be super gung-ho, it's like, awesome, yeah. But then at the same time, it's like, well, why? Is it just because you're like your parents and we just don't get enough of her to understand her individually?
That's the thing. Either they needed to just add some more episodes to give more time to some of these other characters, or it's okay to have these characters take a back seat in this season if they don't need them to be doing anything. Like, unless somehow, Sinatra's child is going to be the one that's really pushing and breaking apart her mom, then they needed to build that up for me. One conversation with Presley is not enough. Like, you're going to get me to turn on my mom. You need way more than one conversation with me.
Yeah, it just feels like they had decided that there were specific points they wanted to hit on this season. And I feel very encouraged that we're going to get to this point where we see basically all the doors open to paradise, because we know that's a part of Jeremy's plan and everything that's going on. That this is all going to happen while at the same time, Link and his people, no matter however many are being negotiated, all kind of come in. And it's just going to be this absolute catastrophe. And I'm just thinking, yeah, I understand you want to get there because that's going to be a really cool and awesome action-packed story. But sometimes a little bit of buildup isn't a bad thing.
Absolutely. We had so much buildup in this episode about Jane and her past, where, like I said, we saw her at the beginning. Her mother didn't want her to be around. She clearly had some sort of mental health issues where she was hearing voices undiagnosed, not treated, that were, pushing forward, and things that were happening where, she was locking her mom in this sauna and she was trying afterwards to say, so-and-so told me to do it. So at that point, the mom should be like, who is so-and-so that's telling you to do it? Is this a real person, or is this something going on inside your head that maybe we need some help with? But because her mother didn't care, her mother just let her go on to become Jane, this like super killer. We even saw her killing for her mentor, even though her mentor didn't want her to, in a pretty brutal way. It was just, getting this backstory on her was so good. It is the Dan Fogelman special when he spends time with people. So if you have these other characters and these other stories, like what's going on with Jeremy and Robinson, who are down in this prison and trying to escape, I'm not as invested in it because you're not spending enough time there. This is just a me problem of, I need more, I want more. I like this show so much. The season 1 was so good, season 2 is also good, but there are so many rich stories here that need more time to breathe.
I don't think it's just a you problem. It's also a me problem. It's a we problem, and it might be an all of you guys problem. Yeah,
episodes.
We want a whole lot more, because everything, you spelled it out. Everything with Jane in this episode is so unbelievably good.
Especially when we get to the connection with Jane is now making with Sinatra, where she's almost becoming like this adoptive mother to her, as mother figure for her, filling in that space like the mentor did. And now it's Sinatra, where Sinatra's like, oh, good job, here's a Nintendo. And she's like turning to Sinatra's daughter being like, isn't your mom the greatest? I was like, oh my God, she truly almost feels like she's 8 years old that just got a Nintendo from her mom. It's like, isn't mom the greatest? We're sisters. She's so good. This actress is so good.
I love the character and the performance. And I think the deal with Jane at this point is that it's not like she is out, twirling a mustache and planning world domination. Like, that's not her end game. Jane's end game is she just wants to feel like she matters. And she manifests this in the worst way possible by doing all of these terrible things, but that's the only thing she's ever really learned how to do. And she's a real tragic character in that way, because you have to wonder how she could have been different.
Yeah, especially that conversation that Sinatra has with her where she was like, why did you leave me alive? What is it that you needed from me? Because before you shot me, you basically were like, I need you to be alive. And Jane spelled it out in such a, like you said, tragic way, where she was just like, I'm good at being a killer and I need someone to point me in those right directions to be able to get that done. And you're that person. I was just like, oh, it's so heartbreaking.
Well, eventually we get to Sinatra asking Jane to go outside. And I felt like at first this was a terrible idea, because it's just, do you really want to send somebody out there whose whole MO has just been, I'm going to take people out? Now, it turns out being a little merciless is probably a good thing when you're dealing with people that are pretty dangerous themselves.
Yeah, Sinatra doesn't know what she's dealing with, right? I mean, they've come with this like knock knock sign. That doesn't seem that friendly. They're showing up at the bunker. They clearly know that things are happening in there. There's a huge group of people out there. So at this point, Jane is the best person to send out there. Sinatra's not going to go out there, but it makes sense.
You also just have to send somebody out there who's going to look around and going to be like, oh, this world is actually okay. Because there's probably a lot of people that are like, well, why am I going to go back? Why am I going to go back into
Right.
this bubble where not that everything's being directly lied to you, but it's just like you're kind of living this artificial world. And so Jane is sort of this proxy. Sinatra's really smart. Like she can read people well. She feels that Jane is going to be loyal, and Jane is going to be loyal. She's able to negotiate Link's eventual arrival in here with a few of his men in tow as well.
I was really surprised actually that there wasn't that moment that you just touched on, that she went outside and was like, everything seems like it's okay out here. Why is it that you want to come in? What is it that you're looking for to come in? That she wouldn't have those questions.
Jane is just seemingly not that person who's going to be a diehard critical thinker of other situations. Like she's very much, what does this person want me to do? I'm going to do it because I'm going to find my fulfillment in that. I think it's very different than sending a lot of other people out there. Like, let's just paint a hypothetical situation where Robinson is out there instead of Jane.
Yeah.
Robinson's clearly a very curious person. Like, she's
Yes.
very smart. I think
Yes.
Robinson would ask a lot of these questions and would
Yeah.
really actually try to get to the bottom of it. She can't let anything go. Like, she can't even let her attempt to just sit there and watch Jeremy's plan go.
Okay, the therapist, Gabby.
Yes.
Who has threatened Jane. Dead by the end of the season? I think so. I was actually surprised she wasn't dead right there.
Well, this
honestly.
is why I'm back and forth on this, because there is this school of thought, and it just feels like it's a total cop-out if they keep her alive, and it's just going to be, oh, we have a reasonably big-name actress here. We don't want to lose Sarah Shahi, so magically she's going to survive, even though all these other people don't survive. I like the character, but yeah, she should probably be gone if she's being some sort of like significant danger to Jane.
If she's a threat to Jane and Jane's relationship with Sinatra, I don't know why Jane didn't decide to just take her out right there.
Yeah.
Jane may feel like she's a little more powerful right now because she is kind of in that right-hand seat with Sinatra right now, that she feels like things are in more control. Gabby's way left out in left field at this point. I was just really surprised that Gabby would have this much information to kind of go to her and threaten her in that way. It didn't make a lot of sense for that character, because that character's also really smart and typically will go around things to get to the answers, and she does get them, but just going straight to Jane threatening her feels like desperation.
If Jane was a different person, I would sit here and say that, all right, it makes sense that she would back off a little bit and not take somebody like Gabby out right away. But the problem is Jane is Jane, and I don't think she is that kind of person that's going to be careful, because there is this school of thought of, all right, I've already gotten rid of Baines. If I get rid of Tarabi, or there's going to be too many questions asked, is this all going to just magically come back to me? But I don't think Jane is really thinking like that. I mean, I could be totally wrong here.
No, I think she just isn't really thinking like that right now. And I think she feels like she's in a power position because she is the person that Sinatra has kind of gassed up at this point to be like, you're going to be my person right now, the person that I trust. I just asked you to take out the president. You did. You're here. You're with me. I feel good about it. And I think Jane on the other end is being like, I'm good right now. You're not, Gabby. So, bye-bye. Your threats don't mean anything.
I will at least say this. I buy just a tiny amount more of what Jane did than everything with Gary in this episode, because Gary is now president of the Bad Decision Club. I mean, we haven't even talked about him and Xavier so far in this episode, but I said last week I was kind of bummed out that they made Gary like this sinister, but now I'm sort of sitting back and feeling, You didn't even know where Teri was in all of this time. You didn't know she was with this group. You allowed Xavier to go to the place where Teri was, not knowing what was going to happen. Like, this just feels like a really dumb plan, Gary. I'm sorry.
Or Gary knew exactly where she was, and he knew that she was going to be leaving on this train. And the plan clearly was to kill Xavier, that he knew that if he ever wants a shot with Teri, if he ever wants a shot with Teri, Xavier can't exist anymore, because as long as he's alive, she will always be looking for him. He will always be looking for her. So I think he knew that she's in this train. Absolutely. Everything is fine with that. But he needed Xavier to be at that train and to be killed at that train so that Teri could see with her own eyes Xavier is gone. It had nothing to do with him. Xavier came in with this crazy idea, got himself blown up, and in comes Gary as the White Knight. That's what I think the whole plan really was. I think he knew she was there.
I just am frustrated by this character, mostly because, and maybe I'm thinking differently than him, where I just feel like if she was dead set that I'm going to go to Colorado, I mean, yeah, sure, she would lose Xavier in this moment, but, you know, her kids are still out there. It's like, isn't there, I guess Gary could go with her to Colorado and he might believe. I don't know. I feel like there's a part of me here that would sort of be like, wouldn't you just tell Xavier, oh, she went off on some boat to Europe or something like that, and then he's just distracted all the way over here?
I think he really wanted Xavier dead, because without Xavier dead, he is unable to ever actually be with Teri. He had to go, and he had to go in a way that she saw. I think he knew exactly that she was there, was planning to kill him right in front of her so that she could see him and be like, oh my God. And that in that way, then Gary would be like, you know what? I thought about it. I am going to come on the train with you. Oh, your husband died. Oh my God. That's how it would go down.
Here's the other thing I'm a little bit confused about is how Bean and what he saw plays into all of this.
Agreed.
Like, maybe we'll get more backstory on this, where maybe this is something where Bean uncovered some other information and he also saw this, and like Bean was the impetus behind some of this happening in the first place, because right now it kind of feels like the whole Bean thing doesn't actually matter at all.
Okay, unless Bean saw Gary kill Enos and he was like, oh my God, went back and told Teri, but also heard all that information about the train and was like, I have this information about the train. This thing happened with Gary. It's a problem. Enos is dead. Let's go to the train people, explain who we are, explain what is happening, and hopefully they'll take us and hopefully they'll protect us. And then maybe that's what happened. They went to the train. Hey, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. And the woman who gave them the coffee was like, yeah, they were just here. That guy's dead. This guy killed him. Okay, we'll protect you. And Gary tried to come to the train, and the train people were like, nah, miss me with that. Get out of here.
I just wish we had a little bit more information. Once again,
I agree.
Not enough time to give us all of this, because let's all say hypothetically.
But so many theories.
So many theories. There are only 2 episodes left. Like, I'm going to presume now, I could be wrong, but there's not going to be too many more problems, and we're going to see we're going to see Teri and Xavier make it to the bunker here by the finale.
Hope
like,
so.
They're already on the road to all of this, but if we're moving that fast, how much time are you going to give us on how she ended up there? Maybe Teri will just give him a line or two. Maybe they'll just be so happy that they're seeing each other that they're not really going to care about anything else.
Yeah, I feel like they can explain it in a line or two.
I just feel like here is the final scene of the finale, guys. I'm going to paint a picture for you right now. It's Teri, it's Xavier. They walk up to paradise, and it is either literally or metaphorically on fire. The entire thing is just complete pandemonium because Jeremy's opened all the doors, and then we've got Link and his whole ragtag crew just like storming in there.
1,000%. We're just on our way, barreling down to chaos in paradise.
Yeah, and that will be your cliffhanger, but that's where we are with Paradise Season 2, Episode 6. So let us know, did you guys love this Jane episode? Hate it? Have any theories on what's ahead? Let us know. Hit that subscribe button. Support us further. Join our memberships. We're covering Monarch Legacy of Monsters there. Thank you so much. We will see you here next time.